Have you ever smelled a scent or tasted something that instantly took you back to a moment in your childhood? That's not nostalgia. It's a gateway to understanding one of literature's most fascinating characters. Today, we will explore Marcel, the central character on Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time, through the unique lens of phenomenology. This approach will unlock the depths of his experiences and perceptions in a revealing and relatable way. In this video, we will look at who Marcel Proust was, give you a snapshot of his monumental work In Search of Lost Time, and then introduce you to phenomenology, a way of understanding how we experience the world. And with these tools in hand, we'll get to know Marcel not just as a character in a book, but as a reflection of our complex experiences. Let's get started. Marcel Proust, born in 1871 in Paris, lived during a great change in France. Think about the Eiffel Tower being built and the world moving toward modernity. Proust's life was a mix of high society and private struggles. He was often ill, which led to him spending a lot of time in bed, reflecting on life and memory. These personal experiences and his sharp observations of French society deeply influenced his writing. Imagine being a fly on the wall in some of the most elegant salons of Paris, the world Proust lived in and wrote about. Now, let's talk about why Proust is a big deal in literature. In Search of Lost Time, his 7-volume masterpiece changed the game. It's not just a long story about French society and the narrator's life. It's a groundbreaking exploration of memory, time, and what it means to be human. This book has inspired countless writers and thinkers since its publication and continues to be a reference point for understanding the complexities of our inner worlds. It's like Proust gave us a new way to look at how our memories shape who we are. Let's talk about In Search of Lost Time. Picture this, a book that takes you through the ups and downs of French society at the turn of the 20th century, all while exploring the twists and turns of memory and time. This isn't your average story. It's a journey through the life of the narrator, Marcel, and the people he meets along the way. The novel blends real-life experiences with dreamlike memories, taking us through Marcel's childhood to adulthood. Its style is unique. It's like a conversation with an old friend telling you stories about their life where time seems to bend and stretch. Now, let's meet our main character, Marcel. He's not just any narrator. He's our guide through this complex world. Marcel is a thoughtful, observant guy, and through his eyes, we see the glittering highs and emotional lows of his society. His journey is about growing up, falling in love, dealing with loss, and searching for the true meaning of life. What makes Marcel so special is how he experiences the world. The taste of madeleine cake, the sound of a spoon against a cup, the sight of hawthorns in bloom. All these little things bring his memories to life in vivid detail. Phenomenology might sound like a mouthful, but it's a fascinating way of looking at how we experience life. It started with a philosopher named Edmund Husserl in the early 20th century, and he wanted to understand how we experience things directly, without all the filters and biases we usually have. It's like taking off sunglasses and seeing the world in its true colors for the first time. Phenomenology asks, how do things appear to us in our experiences? How do we make sense of these experiences? There are a few key ideas in phenomenology that we'll be using to explore Marcel's character. First, there's intentionality, the idea that our consciousness is always about something. It's directed towards things, people, or experiences. Think of how you can't think about nothing. Your mind is always focused on something, even if it's just daydreaming about lunch. Next, we have the lived experience. This is all about how we experience things in the moment. It's not just about what happens, but how it feels, smells, sounds, and looks, the whole package. And lastly, there's the role of consciousness. Phenomenology is interested in how our conscious experiences shape our world understanding. It's like being an explorer in the jungle of your own mind, discovering how each thought and feeling shapes your view of the world. So, Before we apply this phenomenological lens to the character of Marcel, I encourage you to press that subscribe button. It helps the channel so much so I can continue to create learning content like this. With that said, let's talk about Marcel's subjective experience. When we step into the world of Marcel in Search of Lost Time, we're not just reading a story, we're experiencing life through his eyes. Marcel's way of experiencing the world is incredibly detailed and rich, full of colors, sounds, and textures. It's like he has a magnifying glass on the world, where every small detail is seen and felt intensely. Proust masters using sensory details to bring a scene to life. For instance, when Marcel describes a spring morning, he doesn't just list what he sees. He talks about the softness of the light, the gentle rustle of leaves, and the distant sound of church bells. It's more than a description, it's an experience. He writes, "The sight of the little madeleines had recalled nothing to my mind before I tasted them." This shows us how Marcel's sensory experiences are deeply intertwined with his memories and emotions. Marcel's inner world is just as vivid as what he sees around him. His reflections on events and people are detailed and introspective. When he meets someone new, he doesn't just describe their experience, he goes into the impression they leave on him, their mannerisms, and what these might say about their character. This deep level of introspection makes Marcel's experiences feel very personal and relatable. Proust has a unique way of evoking emotions through his descriptions. When Marcel is happy, the world seems to sparkle. When he's sad, everything seems dimmer, quieter. The environment reflects his emotional state, making the reader feel those emotions alongside him. For example, when Marcel feels nostalgic, Proust describes the scenery in a way that evokes a sense of longing, using phrases like shadows of the trees and the echoing paths of the park to create a mood. Through Marcel's subjective experience, Proust connects deeply with us, the readers. We're not just observers, but participants in a sensory and emotional journey. It's a potent reminder of how our own perceptions and memories shape our understanding of the world. On to memory and perception. In Search of Lost Time, memory isn't just a record of the past. It's a living, breathing part of Marcel's present. Proust shows us how past experiences remembered vividly continue to shape Marcel's understanding of the world and himself. Memories are not static, they are dynamic, influencing how Marcel perceives his current experiences. The Madeleine episode we've touched on briefly is central to understanding this interplay of memory and perception. When Marcel tastes the Madeleine dipped in tea, it's more than a nostalgic moment. It's a powerful, involuntary surge of memory that transports him back to his childhood. Proust writes, "No sooner had the warm liquid mixed with the crumbs touched my palate than a shudder ran through me and I stopped, intent upon the extraordinary thing that was happening to me." This moment illustrates the involuntary nature of memory and how sensory experiences can trigger vivid recollections. Throughout the novel, Proust uses sensory experiences, tastes, smells, sounds, as triggers for Marcel's memories. These experiences are gateways to the past, revealing how our senses are closely tied to our memories. And for Marcel, these sensory triggers are not just reminders of the past, they are emotional time machines, taking him back to moments of joy, sadness, and everything in between. Proust also explores how our perceptions can alter our reality. Marcel's perception of people and events can change over time and as his understanding and memories evolve. This fluidity of perception shows how our understanding of the past is not fixed, but is constantly reshaped by new experiences and insights. Memory in Search of Lost Time is a theme that extends beyond Marcel. It touches every character and event, showing how the past is always a part of the present. Proust's exploration of memory challenges us to consider how our own memories shape our perceptions and the stories we tell about our lives. Let's look at consciousness and identity in the novel. In the novel, Marcel's journey is not just through different events and social circles, it's a journey of self discovery and evolving consciousness. As he grows and experiences life, his understanding of himself and the world around him deepens. Proust takes us through this evolution, showing how Marcel's experiences shape his identity. It's like watching a painter gradually fill a canvas, with each stroke adding depth and perspective to the overall picture. Marcel is a character who reflects deeply on his experiences, and this self awareness is a key part of his identity. Proust often plunges into Marcel's introspections, giving us a window into his inner thoughts and feelings. For instance, Marcel's contemplations on love, art, and society are not just observations, they are reflections shaping his understanding of his identity. Proust writes, "The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes." This illustrates how Marcel's changing perceptions are pivotal to his self discovery. Marcel's interactions with others also shape his consciousness and identity. He learns about love, jealousy, friendship, and betrayal through his relationships. These experiences are not just social encounters, they are mirrors reflecting different facets of his personality and helping him understand the complexities of human nature. A significant aspect of Marcel's identity is his search for authenticity in himself and others and art. This search is a driving force in his life, influencing his choices and his perspective on the world. Proust shows us how this quest for authenticity is intertwined with Marcel's own sense of self, guiding his journey through the novel. Finally, Proust masterfully illustrates how time and memory play critical roles in shaping Marcel's identity. The fluid nature of time in the novel, where past, present, and future often merge, mirrors the fluidity of Marcel's identity. His memories, especially those evoked through sensory experiences, are not just recollections, they are active parts of his current self, continuously influencing his consciousness and sense of identity. While we've touched on emotional and sensory descriptions in relation to their power to evoke memories, these descriptions merit further exploration. Marcel Proust's writing style in Search of Lost Time is renowned for its rich, detailed descriptions that engage all the senses and create an atmosphere that envelops the reader. When Marcel describes a scene, we don't just see it, we feel it, smell it, hear it, and even taste it. For instance, Proust's description of a garden is not merely visual. He includes the scent of the flowers, the texture of the leaves, the sound of the wind, making the scene come alive. Proust has a unique ability to convey emotions through sensory descriptions. For example, in portraying sadness, he might describe a damp, cold morning with muted colors and a heavy sky. This approach allows the reader to understand and empathize with Marcel's emotional state. Proust writes, "The smell and taste of things remain poised a long time like souls, ready to remind us." This line beautifully captures how sensory experiences are closely linked to emotional memories. Proust uses sensory descriptions not just to create settings, but also to develop characters. How Marcel perceives and describes people and objects gives us insight into his personality and emotional state. For instance, his descriptions of certain characters often change, reflecting his evolving feelings and perceptions about them. And finally, Proust's use of sensory description is a powerful narrative tool. It helps build the novel's themes, such as the nature of memory and the passage of time. The detailed descriptions make the narrative more than just a series of events, they turn it into a rich sensory journey that mirrors the intricacy of human experience. So, what have we learned from looking at Marcel through the lens of phenomenology? We've seen how Proust uses Marcel's sensory experiences, memories, and internal reflections to build a rich, vivid world. It's like each chapter is a window into Marcel's mind, showing us how he perceives and interacts with the world around him. And these insights help us understand not just Marcel as a character, but also the power of our own experiences in shaping who we are. Marcel Proust's work is more than just a story, it's a peek into the heart of human existence. Proust invites us to think about how we process and interpret our lives by exploring memory, perception, and consciousness. His detailed, sensory-rich writing illuminates how our experiences, big and small, shape our identities. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest moments, like the taste of madeleine dipped in tea, can hold the deepest meanings. If this look into Marcel's world has piqued your interest, I encourage you to read In Search of Lost Time for yourself. Expand your knowledge of phenomenology and see how it might apply to your own experiences. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. What moments in your life have shaped who you are? Have you had your own madeleine moment? So let's chat about it. And for further learning, you might enjoy my last video on understanding James Joyce's Ulysses. I think you'll find some commonalities between the authors. And, of course, like and subscribe.